have a talk that's going to shift your perspective on gut health. When most people think about the gut, they immediately think of bacteria and the microbiome. But what about the powerhouse behind digestion, your enzymes? This session will explore how the pancreas, gallbladder, gut wall, and the microbiome all work together to secrete and activate enzymes, and why supporting these digestive processes is essential before the microbiome can truly thrive. Leyla's talk is entitled Enzymes and the Gut Health Connection. Leyla is a naturopath and a herbalist, head of education for Enzyme Science UK, contributing editor for Integrative Healthcare and Applied Nutrition magazine, and director of the Digestive Research Group. She's been resolving gut health issues for over 10 years and practices both remotely and at Surrey Holistic and Integrative Health Clinic. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Leyla.
Hello everyone, and thank you for coming out today to listen to me ramble on about my favourite topic, which is enzymes. And I was thinking, I see a lot of clients, and what I see with clients most of the time is that they're actually very healthy. So by the time a client is talking to me, they're confused because they're eating good food, they're consuming fermented stuff, they're exercising in the gym, and for some reason they feel very, very uncomfortable after they eat, and they're confused about how that is. And for all these years I've been trying, how do I explain to them what's going on? How do I explain to them that it's not necessarily what they're eating and it's not necessarily what they're doing? There's something has disrupted their interior and it's producing a symptom, and that by the time they come and speak to somebody like me, that symptom's been cooking for quite a long time. So I had my eureka moment the other day when my dad got in the car with me and he went, "What's that noise?" And I was like, "What noise?" And he's like, "That noise that the engine is making, that noise." And he got out of the car, listened to the engine, and he was like, "That noise." I'm not hearing any noise. And I realised that people have the same kind of relationship that I have with my car engine with their own digestive system. They're not hearing the noises, the communications, they're not interpreting it correctly. They ignore it for a long time, maybe get some over-the-counter medications or something like that. Eventually they end up in front of a doctor who says, "Well, it's not serious enough for me to medicate you, deal with it." And then they give them a label like heartburn or IBS or something like this, and the person is very confused and finds themselves on this journey to never being able to go out without planning where the toilets are, avoiding foods because they're going to get a symptom or a feeling in their chest or something like that. They might have intermittent diarrhea and constipation and things like that. And they know, most of my clients know about microbiome, but the missing link is the enzymes, and that's what I'm going to go through now. Mm-hmm. So, Catherine made me sound very important, so thank you, Catherine, for that. So, when we're digesting our food, I would say that the microbiome is the end goal, right? So everything we do is for the end goal of having a healthy microbiome. But before we have a microbiome, we have to have good stomach acid, which is sterilizing our food. So good stomach acid is making sure that microbes don't go into the rest of our digestive tract where they don't belong. Now, if you are having heartburn or any sensation in the first 3 hours of eating your food, so if your digestive symptom happens within the first 3 hours, we're kind of talking about stomach. And it takes 3 hours for our food to go from our stomach into that curly whirly bit called the small intestine. Now, in the small intestine, which is the enzyme part of our digestive system, we have a sequence of events that break down our food into absorbable beneficial units. So if you were to take, let's say, a cube of potato and you were to put it in a glass of water and just leave it there, it would take weeks, months, maybe years to dissolve. Now, if you take that cube of potato and that water and you stick in an enzyme, that potato is gone in seconds. And that's essentially what our small intestine is doing with enzymes to break down our food. So the food that we swallow will be in our small intestine for approximately 8 hours. And so if you are having a symptom within 8 hours of eating and you tend to bloat forwards, then that means that there's something going on in your small intestine that is affecting the secretion and activation of enzymes. Now, for enzymes to work, as soon as we swallow our food and it starts to exit from the stomach, we get pancreatic activation. So our pancreas will release enzymes. Then the small intestine, the little microvilli that line the small intestine, will secrete enzymes and enzyme activators. Then if you've eaten something with fat in it, like olive oil, avocado, nuts, something like that, we will get gallbladder activation, which will secrete bile, which will activate different enzymes. So what happens is my clients will come to me and I'll say, what's going on? And they'll say, I eat a good diet. And I say, is there anything you avoid? So this is an enzyme cue. Is there anything you avoid? And they might say, I tend to avoid potato because it just knocks me out. Like if I have a potato for lunch, I'll be asleep by 4 o'clock. That's an enzyme issue. Or they might say, I eat everything, but I can't touch lactose. That's an enzyme issue. Some people will say, I'm not celiac and I'm not allergic to gluten, but when I eat gluten, that's also an enzyme issue. So our digestive systems are genetically programmed to secrete certain enzymes. So if you are British, if you were born in England and your grandma was born in England and your great-grandma was born in England and your whole entire ancestry was born in England, you probably don't have enzymes for coconut. Whereas if you were born in Cambodia, and they've done a lot of research on this, Cambodians naturally produce enzymes that digest the skeletal matter of prawns and crustaceans. Now, if you take all of that information in and you think about our modern day diets, even if you're a healthy person, you're probably eating a lot of things that your ancestry didn't. I know for sure that my grandmother didn't have avocado on toast, 100%. I know for sure she didn't sprinkle walnuts and flaxseed on her porridge, So we're putting ourselves under a tremendous amount of digestive burden, and then we're not listening to the sounds and signals that the digestive system is making to alert us that it needs a bit of support, it needs a bit of help. So once we've done the 3 hours in the stomach and the 6 to 8 hours in the small intestine, then we get to the large intestine where the bloating happens usually this way. So some people will bloat this way, this is like more small intestine. Some people will bloat this way. So when I ask people, right, where is the bloating coming from? Like when you say bloating, what do you mean? If they say stretchy trousers, because I know that I'm going to wake up a size 10 and I'm going to go to bed a size 14, I'll say, okay, are you stretching this way, like pregnancy belly, or are you stretching this way, like getting wider? And if they're getting wider, then 9 times out of 10, it's because they have a large intestine issue, which is the microbiome. Now, in the microbiome, our microbes produce enzymes, and those enzymes are for digesting starch and fiber, because the microbes need prebiotics and they need to take the prebiotics off the starch in order to eat and have a party. So we're actually supposed to have some air in the large intestine. We're supposed to be a little bit flatulent, not too much, but we're supposed to be a little bit flatulent and things like that. So what will typically happen is people will attach what they're eating and their symptom as occurring in the same time frame. So they'll say, I ate strawberries and then I had this symptom. But actually, when you consider how long it takes for things to get through the digestive system, it could be that the thing your digestive system is not happy with was something you ate 3 days ago, and you're just only be aware of it because it's got to the level of intensity that now that initial injury to the small intestine is affecting enzyme secretion and activation in response to other foods. So I would say you cannot have a healthy microbiome if you do not have good enzyme activity. And I think you can't have good enzyme activity if you're bombarding your digestive tract while you have a symptom. So I would say that the earlier you get yourself involved with an issue, the better it is to resolve. So I've forgotten what my presentation was about, sorry. So I would say bloating of any part of your midriff and floating in the bathroom is classically an enzyme problem, something that can be easily solved with enzymes. And we get enzymes naturally from fermented food has some enzymes, kiwi has enzymes, papaya has enzymes, lots of things have enzymes, and you can also supplement with enzymes. Now, microbes don't digest our food. So if you take an orange because you want to have loads of vitamin C, that orange will not convert into vitamin C until it's broken down. Because don't forget, once you swallowed, your digestive tract has no teeth. It has no mechanism by which to mush up the food that you're eating into a small enough molecule to be absorbed, right? It has to be teeny weeny to be absorbed. So the way that your digestive system does that is through its enzyme activity. Now, when your enzymes don't work, then the workload is passed over to microbes who do their best to break down your food. But when microbes are breaking down your food, they create air. So when enzymes break down your food, you get nutrition and energy. And when microbes break down your food, you get air. Has anyone fermented anything ever and exploded a couple of jars? Yeah? So when you ferment something, you get a lot of air because that's the end result of microbial fermentation. So if you're producing air, it will either go up, or it will go down, or it will go outwards or sideways. And this means that there is fermentation going on. So if there's over fermentation, there's under enzyme activation. There's not enough enzyme activity. So in order to help this, we need acids. We need really good stomach acid. So how do you know if you have good stomach acid or not? You know you have good stomach acid if you're not getting a symptom within 3 hours of eating. So you should not have a symptom within 3 hours of eating. Now, how do you know if you have good digestive enzyme activity in your small intestine? You don't have an intolerance reaction. You don't have an intolerance reaction. So if you notice that potato bothers you, or gluten bothers you, or dairy bothers you, then it's something that you can probably solve by selecting the right enzyme. Now, I'm not the best naturopath, I have to admit, because I think that health is freedom. So once upon a time, I was like an advertising executive, and I was like, burning the midnight oil, drinking loads of coffees, chain smoking, and so on and so forth. And I got into this field because my daughter got very sick and nobody could help me, but nutrition could. So now when I'm speaking to clients, I really understand that having a health problem is kind of like being in a prison. Every time you go to a restaurant, you have to be careful about what you eat. Every time you go to a wedding, you have to be careful about what you eat. For some of my clients, they're very young, like 25, 30 years old, and they can't go anywhere without identifying where all the nearest bathrooms are. It completely destroys their lives. Now, there is so much investment now in working out in the gym and, meditating and all these mindfulness and walk naked in the forest or whatever it is that people do these days. But I would say that the one thing people don't do enough of is really pay attention to what's going on in their digestive system, accessing the right advice and solving that problem as early as possible, because it's not that difficult. Your practitioner's not going to tell you to go vegan and to dance naked around a fire and burn incense and those kinds of things. Your practitioner's just going to give you a system to resolve the initial injury that led to you having that digestive system in the first place. So a healthy person should pay attention to their diet and lifestyle 80% of the time. And if you do go out on the Raz, or you do drink a bit too much at that wedding, or you do have too much coffee because you had a bad night's sleep, your body should be resilient enough to get over it. So if you only feel well when you eat this food and you drink that water and you have that process, I would say you're actually quite vulnerable. How are you going to do if you go into a different environment? Like if you go on holiday to Africa and you have to eat that food, and you go to India and you have to eat that food. Really, you should be resilient enough to be able to deal with it, and that is the end goal. So another common complaint I get from my clients is that when they're eating healthy foods, they get symptoms, but when they eat the crap that they used to eat, they don't get the symptoms. Yeah? So they're like, ever since you introduced all these vegetables into my life, I've been having all these symptoms, but I had a pizza last night and I felt great. And that is because your digestive system needs time to upregulate and downregulate, right? So some people will go, for example, they'll choose to be keto, and they will have symptoms for about 5 weeks, because your digestive enzyme system will upregulate, but it will do it slowly, right? And the same goes in the opposite direction. So if you're a meat eater, like you're mostly keto, and you suddenly switch to vegan, you're going to get symptoms. So whenever you make a change, support yourself with things like enzymes and microbes and fermented foods, but also understand that your body needs a little bit of time to adjust to whatever the new dietary situation is. So don't be scared of making a change. If you bring in something into your life and you get a symptom, don't worry. The time to pay attention is when the symptom is persistent, frequent, and haphazard. So if you're lucky, you'll know that when I eat dairy, this happens. When I have strawberries, this happens, if you're lucky. If you're not lucky, your digestive system appears to be completely out of your control, and you never know kind of when constipation is going to strike or diarrhea is going to strike or something like that. That's why I've just said that. So in terms of health, we're not what we eat, but rather what we absorb. So I have quite a number of male clients these days, and the males are really hammering it with the protein, and they're taking protein shakes and they're working out and all the rest of it, and they're not getting the results that they want, or they're not getting the feelings that they want, or they're getting a digestive system in response. And that's because you're consuming all of this protein. Where is it going? Are you actually absorbing your intended goal? Are you reaching your intended goal? Because putting it into your mouth is just the beginning of the absorption story. You need to break that down. You need to make it into small enough molecules to be absorbed. You need to take all the nutrition out of it. It needs to go into your bloodstream, and then it will go to your large intestine, hopefully just waste, will go to your large intestine, where the microbes ideally are going to have a party and produce all the lovely things that they produce and do all the lovely things that they do. So in addition to digesting what we eat, your enzyme systems are basically your internal food blender. Your body is not going to absorb an apple. It needs to break that apple down into its various different constituents in order for you to get any benefit from it at all. Which means that food should not be making anybody tired. This is another common symptom. You should not feel sleepy after you eat. You should not be passing out after a potato. Actually, a lot of people have issues with potato. It's more common than you think. Enzymes are also our secondary defense system. So if you have a gallbladder or you don't have a gallbladder, it's going to affect your antimicrobial mechanisms. If you drink alcohol and you have like a heavy night of drinking, it's going to affect your pancreas. So after you've kind of like fallen off the health wagon, let's say, 2 or 3 days of not feeling well is really good. That's okay, your body will fix itself. But if you've gone on holiday and you've had food poisoning and you haven't been right since, which is a very common experience, then see a professional. They'll help untangle all of that for you and make sure that you're not increasing your food prison. Nobody should be in a food prison, and when I'm working with my clients, I want them to go out, I want them to have a nice time, I want them to have a drink, I want them to have a slice of pizza, or I'm bad natural. So how to help your enzyme systems? So really unhelpful to your enzyme systems, which is your pancreas, your stomach lining, your gallbladder, and your brush border, your small intestinal brush border, responds really badly to artificial sweeteners, to ultra processed foods, and really badly to extreme calorie restriction. So I don't see the males do this, I do see the women do this. We need to consume fats for our gallbladder to be happy. So we don't want to do rapid weight loss, hopefully don't want to take any injectables for weight loss and things like that, and we want to have protein, carbohydrate and fat ideally at every meal. I have not met anybody that eats enough fibre, so I would say consciously make an effort to eat fibre. Nobody's eating fibre. And avoiding foods for no apparent reason. So if you don't have a gluten issue, don't avoid gluten. If you don't have a problem with strawberries, don't avoid strawberries. So a lot of my clients kind of get themselves into a situation because they're avoiding something because they read online that it's really bad for you, and then as a result of that abstinence, they induce a sensitivity. So your digestive system needs to be exposed to everything a little bit. So 80-20, 80% of the time behave yourself, and 20% of the time introduce things so that your digestive system can deal with it. Have a bit of the stuff that you're avoiding, all the time. And not chewing. So this is for the males mostly because they inhale their food. So please, however much chewing you're doing currently, double it. Because that chewing process does the initial act of breakdown, and it really helps your small intestine and the rest of your body break it down even better. So let's not inhale our food, and let's chew and smell our food and things like that. So what's supportive? So I would say the single most healthiest dietary habit a person can have is rotation. So I see this a lot. A lot of constipation is solved just only with rotation. So if you have, let's say, cheese at breakfast, have chicken for lunch and fish for dinner, so rotate the proteins, rotate the vegetables. Don't stick to the same thing and eat the same thing every day. And I'm actually very guilty of this because I find something that I can make in 5 minutes. I think, oh, that's easy. I'll just do that every day. But no, you're going to induce a problem. So rotate everything. Oh, I had broccoli yesterday, I'll have cabbage today. Oh, I had cucumber yesterday, I'll have tomato today. So it's very, very easy. When you're giving yourself your eat the rainbow kind of target, don't put yourself under pressure that you have to eat everything every single day. Like, that's not reflective of what our ancestral diet would be. So do your best, but the single most important thing is to continuously rotate. Surprise your digestive system. Have a little romance with it. Don't avoid fat. So I see this a lot. I think about 20 years ago, there was a lot of information going around that the best way to lose weight is to avoid fat completely. Actually, if you avoid fat completely, you're probably going to break your gallbladder. So don't avoid fat. Have a little bit of fat, and just bear in mind that coconut oil is not as good for your gallbladder as any other oil. So we've got a lot of people that are having coconut oil, blah, blah, blah. And if you are going to attempt to lose weight, do it slowly and steadily, because the sudden loss of fat will release a lot of cholesterol into your bloodstream, and that's going to put your digestive organs under pressure. So chew well and switch your proteins, particularly proteins. So you can have whatever vegetables you like with your meal, whatever greens, but switch your proteins. Don't always have lamb, don't always have lentils. Rotate them around, have some variety. Eat healthy fats for your gallbladder, and like your car engine, if your digestive system is doing something that it doesn't usually do, pay attention, book an appointment with somebody, and just have a conversation, because usually 9 times out of 10 it's a very, very easy fix. But if you leave it until it's SIBO or reflux or gallstones or something like that, then it's going to be a much, much longer journey to get better. If you want to talk to me, you can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leyla. That was brilliant. I want to start with one question, and then we'll put it to the floor. Could I just ask you, who are the best practitioners that will help people think about this?
I think every single nutritional therapist knows everything there is to know about the digestive system. So nutritional therapists spend about 3 to 4 years of their training only on the digestive system. So I would be shocked if there was a nutritional therapist around that doesn't know about the digestive system. It's kind of what we do, yeah.
Hey, thanks, that was great. I sometimes take digestive enzymes. I used to see a nutritionist. Is there a period of time that we should take them for, or indefinitely is fine?
No, indefinitely is fine, because some enzymes we don't have. So 80% of people don't have lactase enzyme. So they will always need to take lactase enzyme if they want to enjoy dairy. So no, there's no danger in taking digestive enzymes. You can take them for as long as you need. With my clients, they're very loyal to their enzymes until they're feeling better. Then they forget. And they're like, message me, oh my God, I forgot to take my enzyme. I say, well, how are you? They say, I'm all right, actually. All right, probably don't need it anymore.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It was a very interesting discussion. I've suffered from gastroenteritis reflux disease for many years, about 17 years. If there was one thing that I could do to make a difference to that, what would you recommend? Just, yeah.
One thing.
Yeah. I mean, I do take omeprazole for acid reflux, over the counter.
Yeah.
And I try to make sure I don't ever eat 3 hours before bed, although that's not always possible. It's the only thing I can find that I'm able to manage this myself, but this is the first time I've ever spoken to a nutritionist rather than a GP about it. Yeah. So if there's anything at all you recommend,
can I do 2 things? So Gaviscon before bed is non-negotiable. because you want to protect your esophagus. That is the biggest threat to you right now is acid going into your esophagus. So Gaviscon before bed, not negotiable, have to do it, have to do it, have to do it. And the second thing is to take zinc carnosine, which is incredibly healing to the stomach lining. And then you're doing diet stuff?
I've just done the keto diet for 3 months. I finished it 2 weeks ago. No general diet, but that was the first step.
Yeah, so there's a list of things that you should avoid and a list of things that you should increase. And if you do that consistently for, I would say, how long have you been on the omeprazole? 17 years. Yeah, and you still have the symptom.
It's much reduced.
It's much reduced.
Different things that I do to reduce it, but it doesn't give me the freedom that we talk about.
So I do a free consult. So do a free consult, and I will literally give you a strategy to follow. You'll start feeling better at about the 3-month mark, and then it's possible to be off omeprazole at the 9 to 12 month mark. That's totally possible, yeah. If you listen. Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
Really wonderful talk. Thank you. I've been able to reverse pre-diabetes with the Zoe diet.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
But I have had an episode of diverticulitis, and I know the advice is not the same as it used to be about nuts and seeds. But I wonder what you would have to say about
I would
it.
avoid nuts and seeds.
You would?
I would, yeah. And I would also have lots of acacia fibre. Acacia fibre and avoid the nuts and seeds, yeah.
Right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, so you were saying about the enzymes that you could have genetically from. Is there a chance that you could have broken? Like, it sounds like you can break the system a little bit. Can you mend? Is there always an option? Is it always going to be okay?
Yes.
You can't just break things completely.
You can definitely interfere with how well they work. And the number one interference is tiny inflammation. So the entire, I don't know if you've ever had a razor burn, I don't know if you've ever speed shaved or going onto a party or something like that, and your skin doesn't look bad, but you can't put lemon on it, and you can't put vinegar on it. Your inside is the same, but we're just not feeling it in the same way. So you can achieve that kind of injury with a little bug, an episode of food poisoning, a food that your digestive system doesn't like. And once the burn is there, we continuously irritate it. So if you create like a 6-week period of nothing irritating it, everything comes back to normal. Yeah.
Would a fast be something that you would recommend?
Only if the person finds it beneficial. So some people are very attached to fasting, and if they get good results, great.
To ask, are there foods that are beneficial we could eat more of to increase our digestive enzymes?
Bitters, bitter foods. So anything that makes your mouth water. So if you think about biting into a lemon, you'll get that instant kind of saliva. Anything that makes your mouth water makes the rest of your digestive system secrete. So rocket leaves, cherries, kiwi, anything that's bitter.
Hello, I wondered, is there anything you'd recommend eating to help recovery from a sporting injury?
Recovery from a physical injury?
Yeah. So, like with inflammation, swelling, taking a real hard knock to a knee, something like that.
Loads of things, yeah. So, turmeric, boswellia, collagenous things, bone broths, the Chinese mushrooms, shiitake, lion's mane, all of those things. And there's also proteolytic enzymes that are very good for recovery. But collagens and anti-inflammatories. So collagen is like your bone broth, cabbage, things like that. And your anti-inflammatories are anything that is hot and spicy. So anything that is like Indian-y spice, chuck it all in your food and it will reduce the inflammation.
Lovely. Thank you.
Okay, we got time for a last question, anyone?
Thanks so much, it's an amazing talk. love to know a bit more about, you said about coconut oil not being great for the gallbladder.
Yes.
So which oils would you recommend and why is coconut oil not so
So
good?
coconut oil is what's called a medium chain triglyceride. And the reason it's so healthy is that it doesn't require the digestive effort that other oils do. So your gallbladder won't contract in response to coconut oil because it's medium chain. So it needs a long chain fatty acid like olive oil or literally any other oil to trigger the gallbladder contraction. So if you never ever trigger gallbladder contraction, you get bile just sitting there. And it's kind of like leaving a glass of water there for 2 weeks. You know, if you don't empty it, stuff is going to grow, it's going to get mildew. Your gallbladder is the same, it needs frequent emptying. And it only empties in response to fats.
So would you use a combination then? So
Yeah.
you use a combination of coconut oil for some things, but also make sure you get
Absolutely, yeah.
There are benefits.
Absolutely, coconut oil is amazing. It's just not going to do for your gallbladder what other oils will. So it comes back to rotation. Comes back to rotation. Rotate, rotate, rotate.